And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Britain's Social Club. This is episode 29. We are barreling towards 30. Glad to be back. Hopefully, everyone's doing well. I'm just going to be hanging out here today. So, yeah. Hopefully, everyone's doing well. Just going to wait for people to show up. Yeah, anyway. Hopefully, everyone's doing well. How is everybody? Just another quiet, lazy Sunday. Yes. Sadly, Raph will not be here because he said he will be at a thing. He will be at a metal related thing. So you know, it is what it is. So yes, hopefully everyone's doing well. Hello, Tharnall. How you doing? Always happy to have you here. As always, invite is open if you guys want to read. Hello, Mac. How you doing? I did want to say if you did want to hop in today, Raph is not showing up. So if anyone wants to pop in, that is good. Though anyone's happy to pop in if Raph pops in as well. This isn't the Britton Raph show, as much as often Raph shows up, and I always enjoy having him because you know he's a smart guy. He has a lot of interesting opinions about book related things. But yeah, today I'm just gonna be kind of winging it. So how's everyone doing? What's everyone reading? Hope everyone's reading good books, at least. To share some stuff I've been reading, if you don't mind. I am reading Saint of the Narrow Street by William Boyle. This is a crime novel about a Italian lady, her sister, and one of their close friends who have to cover up a crime. And it's really good so far. It's really very much in that Dennis Lehane type of crime where you really feel the consequences of crime begin to kind of creep up on our characters. It's very propulsive reading. I'm very surprised by how quickly I've been able to move through this. I thought this would take a little longer because, well, this book's about 100 or 400 something pages. I don't know. I think it's like 432. Okay, that's not terrible, but you know. Yeah, this book's really good. I'm really enjoying it so far. Still reading the Odyssey. I am doing that as well. So, if anyone wants to join, I am reading it on my Discord server. I was actually posting there last night, but people are reading it a lot faster than I am. So I'm already getting people who are finished with it. So you know that's a little embarrassing, but that's okay. That's okay. How you doing, Joe? Still reading Gloriana. I'm probably going to finish it this evening, and it is great. So I definitely will have a lot of thoughts when I finish this. But yeah, definitely still banging. And this last section has just been absolutely incredible. So there's that too. Wait, do I need to put this under? I guess you know what? I guess I am. Okay, and I am going to be finishing off Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol very soon. So yeah, I'm probably gonna be doing that this week. You know, fun stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be busy. May's been a busy month, I'll just say. Also got some books in the mail yesterday, or I'm about to get, or I bought them. They haven't come in yet, but you know. Yes, hopefully everyone is reading good books. So yeah, let me know what you guys are reading. The King Must Die. I know Steve Donahue really likes Mary Renault. I've not read her myself. I know she's done some like King Arthur retellings, and I think she also did like a Alexander the Great novel, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but I remember Steve Donahue raving about Mary Renault's stuff. So I guess you're in good hands, because even when Steve is wrong, and usually when he's wrong, he's aggressively wrong. But when he's right, I think he's also very right. So I would take his recommendation mostly solidly. Good luck. It's funny. I actually just had a podcast last night with SS Fitzgerald. His name's Sean. Cool guy. We were talking about Dracula and how weird that book is. Anyway, I know you like Vampires Tharn also. Good luck with Dracula. It's a fun story, even if it's rather bizarre in some ways. Do I really want to get into that? I don't know if I want to get into that, but I don't know if I want to go into the rabbit hole that is Dracula. Joe said he had an announcement he was going to be making on Saffron's show. Have you made it yet, Joe? Because I'm definitely looking forward to that. I don't know if Joe's still here. Hopefully, Joe's still here. Also, if Joe wants to join in, Joe can do that. So, I don't know. I mean, I can carry it by myself. I was. It's kind of funny. I was just. Joe says, I'm not making it. Someone else is doing it. I just reposted, is what he said. I do know what it is. All right. All right. To quote Lord of the Rings, keep your secrets. Anyway. It's like Jodorf the Grey. No, it's okay. I got you, Joe. I was just saying in case. It's about a joint project, and I don't know when we're allowed to talk about it. Honestly, you know what? That's fair, Joe. I just wanted to know if they announced it yet. That was it. But I guess from your response, the answer is no. So it's all right. I won't force you to do anything you don't want to do. We're not about forcing people to do stuff they don't want to do. It's all good. I did. Speaking of Joe, I did finish Planetary, so I do hope to have our conversation in about a week or two. Probably 2 weeks, because not this week, but next week. Hopefully next week I'll be able to do it. So, yeah, it should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Planetary was a lot of fun. Some really great moments in it. But yeah, I don't think it's topped. Transmetropolitan is my favorite Warren Ellis, even though I think Planetary has some very strong stories. And he said, "Great, love the story. The crossovers were bad. I didn't really care for the I didn't really care for the Authority one, because it just felt like two stories in one. And also, I'm sorry, Joe. I know you like the Authority. I just don't care about the Authority. I'm not a fan. The Justice League one was fun, and I did really like the Batman one. And not just because Batman's my favorite superhero, but there's some really good stuff in that one. There's a really great moment in that story that, yeah, but I do like the actual comic a lot more. So there you go. Hello, Praetor. How you doing? We're just hanging out here talking about, well, whatever's popping to mind. Joe, you don't like multiverse stories? Why'd you like Planetary's a multiverse story? What are you talking about? The XB Justice League attacked our heroes. I don't know. Anyway, I won't get into that. I'll get into that with Joe. Did you like the Kung Fu issue? I thought you would like that one because I know how much you like martial arts movies and stuff like that. A lot of hate for multiverse stories. This is just pitiful. This is sad. I liked it despite the multiverse aspect. Same as Invincible, as I mentioned when we discussed that. You know what? Fair. You know what? Fine, Joe. Like that. Yeah, that's okay. Darnell says, of the Authority, I only know Midnighter. Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I hate to admit this. I didn't know Warren Ellis actually created the Authority. I thought someone else did, and he just kind of took it over. But yeah, no, we still need to discuss Invincible. But yeah, that's kind of a misstep on my part. I was gonna get another guy to do it, but he was moving, and yeah, it's just a whole mess. We will do it eventually. Because I would love to talk about Invincible because Invincible's great and has some amazing elements in it. So there you go. Midnighter's like the Authority's version of Batman, isn't it? Like he's kind of crazy, I think. Isn't he in a relationship with one of the other Authority members? Hey John, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. I was actually thinking like, oh man, where's John been? He hasn't been here the last couple weeks. I mean, I haven't been here the last couple weeks, but he wasn't here last week, which kind of surprised me. But here he is now. But yeah, anyway, I'm not really a big fan of the Authority. I always felt they were kind of like, oh, let's do Watchmen, but not as well. You know, I'm like, I don't want to watch that. I know, like a lot of British writers, the edgier ones did some runs on it, like Mark Millar and Garth. I think Garth Ennis did some work on the Authority as well. I don't know if I want to read that. Yeah, I don't know. Though speaking of Garth Ennis, The Boys ended last week, which thank God I was getting exhausted with the just the discourse around The Boys it has become cancerous. And now people who were very content to crap on the comic and talk about how better the show was. Now they're saying, "Oh, the comic was actually better than the show." Ridiculous. I don't know what's going on there, but you know, it is what it is. And understandable. I get that. But anyway, going back to the Boys. I'm glad it's over. I'm freaking tired of The Boys. I just want it to die so we can just move on and do something else, you know. I'm kind of exhausted with The Boys, both the comic and the show, because I don't really want to get into it. Maybe at some point I'll make a video discussing my thoughts on The Boys, both comic and show, but you know, not anytime soon because my emotions are still high. And I mean, I'm sure you guys would probably want to see me getting angry and ranting about stuff, but I personally don't want to put that video up. It just wouldn't be yeah, I mean, it's not Garth Ennis's best work. I think there's some great stuff in The Boys. Yeah, it's definitely Ennis kind of, you know, there's parts of it where it just seems like he's trying to offend people and it just doesn't come off in a good way. And also there's parts of it where he's just like, this is fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid for liking it. And, you know, after hearing that 3 times, it gets really annoying. But I digress. You know, it's funny you say that, Praetor, because I saw some people complaining about the art the other day, and people are like, well, yeah, it's kind of meant to look kind of ugly and unpleasant. You know, it's kind of an ugly and unpleasant story, which, you know, that's fair. But I mean, if you don't care for the art, like if you don't want to, like, if you don't like the art, you don't like the art. That's fine. Like, I'm not a big fan of Frank Miller's art. You know, I think it's ugly as hell to look at. But you know, what are you gonna do? Yeah, his Punisher stuff's great. Usually, his Punisher Max, I think, is really it's my favorite thing he's ever done. And his war comics are really good too. That's generally some of his like best work because he's not like being super edgy, self consciously. Yeah, Crossed is insane. That's an insane comic. That is pure Ennis batshittery right there. So there you go. And Jason Burrows' art is an acquired taste. I understand that. He did some work with Alan Moore even. Um, like I'll just say this: there's some good stuff in Cross. There's parts where it does kind of feel like Ennis is trying to push limits, but you know, um, yeah. Anyway, glad the boys is over. I don't want to fucking deal with the boys anymore. Um, thank you, Mac. I'm glad someone is like. Usually, my audience, my beloved audience, as I like to call them, they love the pitchforks. They're like, "Yeah, crucify him," you know. Not me, just crucify whatever you're talking about. And it's like I would rather. My point being, I'd rather go into um I'd rather go into something with more thought and even-handedness, you know, not just yelling about how stupid I think everyone's acting, because you know that's not really helpful. Yeah, you know what's interesting about the boys finale? I just felt I kind of suspected it would be kind of a rushed mess. Um, I honestly think that if they had kind of emulated the comic a little more, I think it could have been a better ending. Because say what you will about the boys comic, I think the ending of the comic is really good. Um, I think with the boys show, they got a bit too precious with some of the characters. Butcher, you know. So there you go. But yeah, like I said, tired of the boys. I'm glad it's over, and hopefully we'll move on to the next thing. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I kind of heard from the grapevine what it was, and it seemed fine. Like it seemed about what I would expect. I had some issues with it, but um, you know, it is what it is. I yeah. I think Ennis has done better than the boys anyway. I think like Preacher and Punisher Max and his war comics I think are a lot better than the boys. I think the boys is just kind of it's not a fun read. I'll put it that way. It has some great work in it. I think it's quite fittingly the best arc of that series is Butcher's backstory because that's the stuff that Ennis actually likes to do. So there you go. I have not. I've wanted to read Joe Nesbo for a long time. I just I haven't done it. So, is that the one that the Michael Fossbender was in? Because I heard that one was really bad. Like I heard that one was awful. Well, Tharnell, that might ruin the Punisher for you. Because that's like I think is like the best Punisher that has ever been. Though welcome back Frank from the Marvel Knights run is fun. I like them. I like Welcome Back Frank. The rest of them, it just turns into Preacher with the Punisher in it, which like that's fine, but that's not really it basically just turns into the boys. But Marvel editorial was a bit strict, so stricter than what he had on the boys, so he couldn't like go far with it. Which is probably a good thing because there's just some parts in the boys that are just grotesque, we'll just say. Anyway, just going back to the main thing, glad The Boys is over because I am honestly freaking tired of the discourse. But nonetheless, it is still omnipresent on Twitter because Twitter is just where all the cancerous stuff happens. Apparently, Elon Musk didn't really care for the ending, but he's Elon Musk, so what are you gonna do? He doesn't like anything these days. Yeah, I haven't read a lot of the other Punisher stuff. I have read Frankencastle. That's a great one. I really like that one. That's a lot. That's just pure batshittery and that's just pure batshit insanity. Um, I think very few things are a lot of things are much more tame Punisher than Garth is. But it's great. It is really really good. Also, hello Chadia, how you doing? I don't generally care what Elon Musk thinks, but I thought it was fun. Really? Oh, I'll have to watch it then or read them because I mean, I have to pick up a um I have to pick something up. But no, I've not read Joe Nesbo. I mean, I haven't really criticized him on Twitter because honestly, I don't know if he would. One, I don't know if he'd pay attention to me, and two, there are people on Twitter I actually like interacting with. I'd rather not get kicked off of there, even though I'm kind of pissed off at Twitter at this point. I'm just there out of pure stubbornness at this point. I'm just more annoyed with the discourse around the boys. I'm just kind of fed up with the boys, honestly. So that's just where I'll land there. I'd rather talk about something else that doesn't irritate me so much because I mean, as much as I enjoy talking about Ennis and Garth Ennis comics, it's I'm fed up with the boys. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad it's over. We don't have to talk about it anymore. We can move on to something else. So there you go. Um Well, yeah, well, Chadia. I'm sorry. I haven't been sleeping well the last couple days. Still reading the Odyssey. Which, if anyone wants to join me on my Discord, while I read the Odyssey, feel free to. There's some people who are already finished with it, which is crazy. Saint of the Narrow Street. This is a really good crime novel that I'm reading so far. William Boyle. If you're a fan of like Dennis Lehane, I'd recommend picking this up. It's some good stuff. Gloriana's still great. I'm probably going to give it a 5-star when I'm done with it because it's really wonderful. And the first 5-star I've given to a book in about a year, so that's going to be crazy. And of course, Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol. I'm going to be finishing that up soon, so very much looking forward to that. Ugh. Also, hello, Ida. How are you? Everyone's showing up. Bex is actually making me a playlist. She was texting me last night. I don't want to embarrass her or anything, but I thought it was really nice. It was really nice of her. So we'll see how that goes. Didn't see me there. I'm literally on screen. What do you mean? I don't know. But yes, Ida is here. She's hanging out with us, having a good time. But yes, those are the books and comics I'm reading at the moment. So there you go. I also got a haircut, but you know. So after I finish Gloriana, I am probably going to spend the rest of the month reading Saint of the Narrow Street and try and finish that, and or see if I can finish it before May's over. And also still going to be reading the Odyssey because I am reading the Odyssey. So yeah, there you go. Yes, he said he would be at a like metal festival thing. He said that last week, so he will not be joining us today, unfortunately. Which is sad because I enjoy when he comes on. Though if any of you want to come on, you can feel free to. I missed what comics you were reading, Britton. Where does again? I am reading Doom Patrol by one Grant Morrison. I also finished Planetary, but I'm reading Doom Patrol right now, and then after that, I'm going to be reading Flex Mentallo by Grant Morrison, which I'm really looking forward to because it's him and Frank Quitely together. And when Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely get together, magic is bound to happen. So there you go. Also, I really like Flex Mentallo. He's in the Doom Patrol run, actually, and it's a lot of fun. He's really great. It is bonkers. I have not read Global Frequency. I would like to. I would like to at some point. Though Ellis can be really frustrating because he has a tendency of getting bored with a project and just leaving when he just doesn't want to write it anymore. Which is really annoying when you read something serialized like comics and you want an ending and he started something that was actually really interesting. I guess Planetary's nice in that regard because he actually ended it on a good note. So there you go. Yeah, anyway. Why I bring that up is I feel he did that with Global Frequency. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I would like to read it. I haven't read it myself. But have you seen the TV series? Are you talking about Doom Patrol? I've seen episodes of it. I really like the one where Flex flexes the wrong muscle and gets everyone to have a happy ending. We'll just say it's a lot of that's great, and it's actually in the Grant Morrison comics as well, which is hilarious. I thought that was a real fun detail he threw in there. It was also interesting because his Flex's origin issue is drawn by Mike Dreitenberg, who did a lot of stuff on the Sandman. So it's kind of like, And Dreitenberg's art is kind of weird because like his figures are kind of odd. I've never really loved his art, but I do think it worked in like the Sandman. It's generally fine in Doom Patrol. He definitely has that kind of strongman type of thing down well. But yeah, Flex's origin's great. I really enjoy that. I was gonna say Harry Hole is a very unfortunate name, but you know. I mean, that's likely. He's done that with a couple of series that he started. He did that with Fell, and then the whole controversy happened, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring Fell back," and then he got like publicly shamed into not doing it again. So I'm just like, God damn it. Fucking I hate the internet, is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes anyway. It could be a good thing. But anyway, it's I don't know. I know James Ellroy liked one of Joe Nesbo's novels. I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of them. Maybe it was one of the whole novels. Helen of Troy is black. How dare they? Oh boy. The thing about stuff like that, I find there are legitimate things to criticize about the Odyssey movie. I don't think, I'm sure you're being facetious, Tharnell, but I don't think Lapita Nyong'o is. I probably butchered her name. I'm sorry, but Lapita as Helen of Troy is not one of those things like that. I really just don't care about that. Like if you're offended that like a black person is in a movie about a mythological event, I don't know what to tell you. I'm more annoyed with some of the dialogue choices. Like he goes, but my dad's gonna come back. Like, are you serious? Like, bro, imagine in Lord of the Rings if Frodo had just gone like, hey, bro. Like, imagine like in Lord of the Rings if like Sam and Frodo were in the Shire and um they were uh and they were like, checking out a girl that Sam liked, and Frodo just goes, "Hey, that girl's got no riz," or "Hey, Sam, you got to have some riz." If he said that, that just completely takes you out of the experience. So I'm like, or like when Robert Pattinson says, "Pining for a daddy you never knew." I'm like, the fuck is that? That like, why are you speaking in modern English? That just takes me out of the out of the experience. But I digress. Well, to be fair, we don't know who's playing Achilles, though they are saying Elliot Page is playing him. He is a trans man, technically. I don't know. I always think of what Marlon James said once, where he's like, I don't think anyone would have cared if there was an Asian hobbit running around, but I'm not really interested in the culture war stuff. I just find that really tedious and annoying. Speaking of, I mean, I am reading the Odyssey, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it a lot. I mean, I already did. It's great. It's a great story, but it's I'm reading the Fagles edition. I didn't want to read the Wilson edition because I was reading through some of it, and the language just seemed really plain to me, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to get through that. Though I was watching some. I was watching some interviews the other day with her, and it did make me appreciate more of what she was going for in her version, her translation of the Odyssey. I'm still not going to get it. I still think the language is rather plain in her Odyssey translation, but I appreciate what she was doing. I appreciate that like she was the first woman who did a Homer translation, which is crazy. So yeah, good for her. I'm not complaining too much about that. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, he's not the only one who did that, by the way. There's also Laurence Olivier and Orson Welles. So he's not the first one who did that. But um I have no idea who Elliot Page is going to be playing. I don't know. I'm gonna see it when it comes out. That's why I'm reading or rereading the Odyssey because well, it's great. I mean, it's great. It's one of the great mythological stories. It's one of my. I mean, Odysseus is one of my favorite. Classical mythological heroes. So you can take that with what you will. But I just, yeah. Bob Hoskins played a good Iago though in that Anthony Hopkins Othello. He was great. But do we know that though? I don't know if Elliot Page is Achilles though. That's the thing. I don't think it's been confirmed. Oh yes, and Cormac McCarthy's biography is coming out soon, so I'm looking forward to that. I don't read a lot of biographies, unfortunately, but I do want to read that one because you know. Well, okay, Darnell, we don't know if we don't know if Elliot Page is Achilles. That's the thing. Oh yeah, he did some really interesting Shakespeare adaptations. I haven't seen Touch of Evil though. I've wanted to see that for a long time because I need to. There's some classic noirs I need to catch up with, but I just haven't done it. I've been really lazy with movies lately. I was thinking about seeing The Mandalorian and Grogu, but I don't know. I was kind of unsure. Or a Hercules movie would be pretty dope, though. The Dwayne Johnson version was just, oh my god, it was terrible. Third Man's another one I've wanted to see for a long time. I haven't watched it. You know, I thought about reading Terra Ignata this year because I'm reading a bunch of sci-fi, but I don't know where I would put it during the year. Maybe I'll sneak it in there, but I've heard it's super dense, so I'm like, I don't know where I would sneak that one in. And then after I complete, or when June shows up, I'm going to be starting American Tabloid, which oh boy, that's my most anticipated book of the year. So I've been looking forward to that one. And While Darkness Gathers by one Dr. Philip Chase, which I need to contact him soon because I would love to have him on again so we can return to Edan, pun intended, and you know, have a good time talking about that. I've heard, I think it's a dragon hunt, which, I'm kind of sick of dragons, but you know what? Philip Chase has written three magnificent fantasy novels you can see over there. It's on my shelf. Um, so you know what? I'm on board. What is American Tabloid? It is a novel by James Elroy. It is his basically take on the JFK assassination. So it's kind of his secret history of America, if you will, and considered his magnum opus. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that is. I'm curious to see if it will top LA Confidential for me in terms of his best, but we shall see. Man, Jason's Discord is freaking wild. I'm just chilling, bro. I've heard Dan Simmons' um Odyssey retelling isn't that good, but good luck with that though, Mac. Which, speaking of Mac, I probably shouldn't ask here. I'll probably just message you later. But were you still not busy towards the end of the month? Would like to still come on my channel because for Britton's Hanging Hour? Because I'm still down for that. Maybe except for the 28th, because I have a show that day. But aside from that, I'm good to go. 11/22/63. How do I describe it without spoiling it? Well, he goes back in time, which isn't a spoiler because, well, it's in the title, but it's also it's kind of explained in the first couple chapters. But he basically, but our main character basically goes back in time, falls in love, and kind of has to figure out if he wants to be with his girlfriend lady or if he really wants to foil the assassination. That's really that's kind of the gist of it. Awesome. All right, I'll message you more about that later. I don't really want to. It's funny you're saying that. You're doing exactly what I did because I read L.A. Confidential first because I really like the movie and the book is great, but it's much more thorough than the movie. I'll just say that. And then I went back and read Black Dahlia in 2024. And then last year I read The Big Nowhere. So it's kind of funny how that's working. I mean, you can read LA Confidential on its own. It's just kind of, it can be a bit overwhelming though. Cause, oh man. Also, Elroy was kind of experimenting with form a bit in terms of like his prose style. And you could tell he was still kind of ironing out the kinks a bit. Because there were some parts I got kind of confused, but yeah, it's a great book. It's definitely my favorite of his. And again, I'm very much looking forward to American Tabloid because I want to see where it lands on my Elroy reads. Which, speaking of that, I'm definitely gonna have Steve Powell on again whenever I get around to talking about American Tabloid. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun getting everybody together for that one. So 28th is Thursday, I think. I can't keep up with the time no more. Max says, and don't you worry, have a list locked and ready for While Darkness Gathers. Oh God, it's gonna be fun. I need to, again, you're reminding me to hit up Philip. I always feel bad because I know Philip's busy and he's always like talking with other people, and I'm like, hey Philip, you want to talk about your book on my channel? He. I'm always nervous that I'm gonna, like he's gonna finally snap one day and go like, Britton, no, stop contacting me. I don't think he would do that. Philip's a great guy, but I always feel bad. I'm just like, I hope you're doing okay, buddy. I don't want to overwhelm you. Yes, I will be reading While Darkness Gathers. It's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Probably some other books like Everybody Knows. Probably gonna read that. It's funny you say that because it's funny you say that because like I sometimes do my like, hey, how you doing? And then my dad's like, why you sound like Batman? I'm like, I'm not trying to sound like Batman. What are you talking about? That's crazy. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to whenever I do the conversation, Mac, and you just leave a gigantic comment of all the references you picked up from the book. It's funny is that oh man. What's funny, I was watching a video that Philip was doing. He did this a few years ago. And it was about like a bunch of mythological stories that inspired Tolkien, and he mentioned how he was mentioning one of them. I forget which one it is, but one of the characters he described one of them is called Orvandil, and I was like, And I joked with him in the comments. I'm like, oh, that name sounds familiar, Philip. And he kind of just gave like a smiley emoji. It was a lot of fun. It was fun. I like those interactions. I'm trying to find the interaction we had. Yeah, I mean, not recently. I've just been kind of if you're asking if I've been still playing Red Dead Redemption. Not recently. I've been kind of busy with other stuff. But yeah, I'm still playing around in Red Dead. Red Dead 2 anyway. My account got kicked off, one I've had for like 10 years because some people, I guess they hacked it and tried to take my money. It was not fun. Not fun, people. It was not a fun thing. Um so yeah. I don't know how it happened. I didn't do anything. Um but it is what it is, unfortunately. Not entirely sure what some other things going on. Oh yes, Mac was telling me the other day. He did mention he was telling me this last night actually about how Oklahoma has a much more thriving film industry, which is true. I've actually been a part of it a little bit. I went to a few years ago. I went to um, a kind of gathering of a bunch of like people who make movies out here in my home state, and it was really fun. And it was me, my friend, and my friend's girlfriend, and we went and we hung out for a while, and we met a bunch of people. My cousin was there because he works at one of the film places. It's called Prairie Surf Media. I don't know if they're still around, honestly, but um, they've worked on some stuff like the new Twister film. They did a bunch of other things, and also Martin Scorsese made Killers of the Flower Moon out here, which that I had my issues with that movie, but it was cool that he got to make it here, and I met some people who actually worked on it with him, and they shared some experiences. It was quite. Oh yeah, they did make my cousin actually did work on Tulsa King. Funnily enough, even though I didn't really like that show, I thought it was kind of stupid at times. Um, yeah, really? I felt they didn't go that deeply into like what happened. I just thought I honestly thought it would have worked better as a miniseries. And also they cut out the most interesting character of that whole thing, which is Jesse Plemons' character, the lawman. Like that dude is like if you read the Killers of the Flower Moon book, like he's the most interesting character in that whole thing. And they didn't do anything with him. I'm just like, damn, you could make a whole movie about that guy. What are you doing? Yeah, it's just it did drag a tad towards the end, but there's some good stuff in there. It's just kind of Oh yeah, I own it. I read it before it came out. Movie came out. It's quite good. I enjoyed. It's a great book. I did a review of it, as a matter of fact. But it is what it is. Max sent me a video. Oh, it's a trailer for the Harry Hole series. So there we go. Thank you, Mac. Yeah, movie was fine. I not one of Scorsese's best, I would say. Definitely not one of his worst either. I mean, I think Leo and Robert De Niro put out some really great performances. Jesse Plemons was quite good. So wasn't all a loss. It's just kind of. I mean, I do think if you read a Western, excuse me, if you read any kind of Western, Lonesome Dove would not be a bad place to go. It's a very good book. Um, it is a tad long, but I will say you will get swept away into it. So there you go. I saw Jason was kind of talking crap about it the other day, and I don't know if Praetor's still here. He was kind of like, "Oh, it was good, but it wasn't that good." And I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here, Jason! Like, what else do you want? It's great. It's great. It has like the history of the whole, everything about life is in that book. Like not just a good book; it's a great book. Is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, enough of that. Oh, he is still here. He found my tangent rather amusing. That's good. He's like, "Oh, sometimes it meanders," and I'm like, I swear to God, I love Jason. He's I love Jason, but sometimes he's frustrating to deal with because I'm just like, hey, here's this book, and then he'll start reading it, and he finds the weirdest fucking things to not like about it. I'm just like, you know what? At this point, it just sounds like you're trying to find stuff to not like about it. Like, just just read the damn book, okay? Just read the damn book and try and just get swept into it. I guess Jason can't do that. I don't know why, but yeah, no, it's kind of funny. McMurtry kind of wrote it as a deconstruction of westerns, and people were like, "Damn, that's a great western." And he's like, "Fuck no, I didn't mean that." So it's more like a epic adventure, it's kind of like the American Odyssey. Honestly, is what it's kind of like. Except they're not going home; they're going somewhere else. How'd you find The Stars My Destination? Didn't really care for it. I thought it was kind of lackluster book, honestly. Some fun experimentation with language and form, but overall, I just did not. I was initially kind of, I'm like, okay, this is, fine for what it is, but it's not really for me. Then it just went to, this is bad. Um, yeah, just not my thing. Yeah, I need to watch the miniseries too. I've seen like parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a railroad guy. Like Iron Council was my least favorite Bezlag novel, and that one has a railroad in it. So hey Tharno, maybe you'll like that. Uh, that one's kind of a western. Feel free, Mac. I mean, I. Feel free. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying anything that interesting. I'm just filibustering here. Yeah, no, I'm just kind of, yeah, I just kind of was annoyed with it. But then I read Glory. Then I started Gloriana. I'm like, this is awesome. Thank you so much for this. Um, but yeah, no, I just didn't really, I didn't really take to Stars My Destination. I thought that was just kind of a, just not good, which sucks because I really wanted to like that book. That was gonna be something I would like, but oh well, it is what it is. Yeah, I haven't read that. I know it's kind of crazy. I've heard it's basically like, oh, it's one of those like every conspiracy is true kind of book. So, good luck with that. Was a big inspiration to Grant Morrison, apparently. So, there you go. Well, Ida, I have not heard of the Spiral. Is it anything to do with the Uzumaki from one Junji Ito? Mm, 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 mm. Oh, it's a new book? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, speaking of new books, Alan Moore's new fantasy novel, I think it's called I Hear a New World, just came out. So I'll probably pick it up, even though I thought The Great Wind was kind of so-so. I thought it was a so-so book. Tharnol, that is a weird thing to say out of context, just, yeah. I know what you mean, but.
And I've always considered myself a little bit of the black sheep of the family, and we were talking.
I like this. Tharnol and Ida are falling in love here in this chat room. You're silly. Being silly, Tharnol. Oh man. He's like, is it that obvious, Britton? It's like I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I did not say that. I don't know what's obvious. I don't think you're creepy. I don't know what's obvious. She's got Stormbringer. He's got Stormbringer. Why is it doing this? I don't want to share my referral link. I don't know. I was trying to hide it. Use it not against me. I don't know what you're trying to hide though. That's what I don't know. I don't know what Ida's talking about. But we'll just move on from that. Have any of y'all read Cersei? I'm curious about that book because I'm really enjoying the Odyssey in my reread. And I'm like, I was kind of wary of Cersei because it just kind of seemed like, kind of like girl bossy, Yas Queen type of thing. That doesn't really interest me all that much. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get it at the library or something and read it. Has any of you read it? Is it any good? Let me know. I mean, I don't really care for kind of Yas Queenie type of books, so you know. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just my assumption, but I don't know. When you see like a book called Cersei and it's like a feminist reimagining of a myth, you get kind of worried. Or at least I do sometimes.
By the way, all the girlies that are in the fun industry, I have some news.
Oh my god, I don't know why my phone keeps going off. There we go. Tharnall says it's an interesting retelling, but for the life of me, I don't get Cersei's motivations. All right, that's okay. Song of Achilles is better if you don't take the ending into account. That's fair. Okay. I mean, I was gonna read. I didn't know if I was gonna read any of her books because again, they seem a bit too modern for me. But I don't know. I generally like the fantasy I read to feel at least somewhat ancient. Though, I mean, to be fair, Achilles and Petronicus being gay, that doesn't shock me at all. I'm surprised no one did that earlier, honestly. Because they're pretty gay for each other in the Iliad, from what I remember, anyway. Get more people coming back in here. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice. I wouldn't mind reading the Hercules one because Hercules is one of my favorite Greek stories, like that and like the Minotaur and maybe Perseus. Even though a lot of them are started by Zeus being a fuckboy, which that's always fun. Again, I wish Raph was here. He would know what I'm talking about. I've always been more of a Norse guy, though. I just think the Greek gods are a bunch of prima donnas. Going back to the Song of Achilles, again, I kind of think it's pretty. I think it's fitting that it turns out that that Achilles and Petronicus were gay because it's like that just makes sense to me. Wearing the Lion. All right, I'll have to find this. Max back. He says can highly recommend the Trojan Women trilogy by Kat Barker. Brutal on the reality of the Trojan women turning slaves for the Greeks. Well, I bet that's fun. Yeah, I love the victim blaming in Hera's situation, 'cause it's like, oh no, it's not Zeus being a fuckboy. It's Ida asks, has anyone read Against All Gods by Miles Cameron? I've heard Miles Cameron's name. I have not read Against All Gods. What's it about? Well, she says it's about the Greek gods. All right. Well, okay. Ugh. She says the last book of the series um is called Storming Heaven. All right. Well, that's nice. I've never heard of any of this. So, selling point, Hera brings all sorts of nasties on Hercules, but he's too dumb and only good things come from Hera. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I like Hercules. He's a fun character. He's not the you know, I wouldn't say he's the most compelling of the Greek of classic heroes. I'd give that to Odysseus personally, but he's fun. I enjoy him. No, I have not. But again, Steve Donahue really likes Mary Raynault, and also Mac. I don't know if Mac's still here. He may be joining or trying to. Eh, uh, but because I know he said he wanted to join in a little bit. But Mac's reading a Mary Raynault book at the moment. Well, Madeline Miller also seems to have written something called Heracles' Bow, which is a short story. So, okay, fair enough, I guess. I haven't read any of this. Yeah, it's fair. He is kind of an asshole, but then again, a lot of Greek heroes are not nice people. I mean, come on. I mean, hell, Odysseus is not the nicest person on the planet. Mac is here. He says, I am currently reading The King Must Die. So there you go. Oh, geez. That was Oedipus. Poor guy. He's in the Odyssey for a little bit. He's basically just, crying out about how awful everything is. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Hello, everyone. I'd like to think I'm not as tortured as Batman, but you know. You never know. Let's see who else is on YouTube today. Oh, he's all vampire hunt today. Yeah. There's reactions to Troy, because I guess since the Odyssey movie's coming out, I don't know. But yeah, no. But yeah, it's pretty quiet today on Britain's Hanging Hour. Yeah, not bad. See what else is going on YouTube. Not much, honestly. Sundays are generally kind of quiet. Unless Alan decides to post. That generally. Excuse me. This is true. The weather is getting a lot warmer. It's actually really nice where I'm at. It's been raining. It was raining for the past couple days, and I was getting really depressed. And then the sun came back out, and I'm feeling a lot better. So you know, it's going well. Ooh, I'll do that. I've also wanted to read. I've kind of wanted to read some other epics now that I'm reading the Odyssey again. Has anyone ever read the Aeneid or Metamorphoses? Is it any good? I don't know if Mac's still here. I don't know if Max wants to show up. But yeah, maybe. Ida read the Aeneid about 20 years ago. All right. It's all right. I get what you're saying, Ida. You don't need to be upset. I wonder if Max read any of the Aeneid or Metamorphosis or anything like that. Now we got 7 people in here. Nice, nice, nice. Well, I'm probably one of them, so it's technically 6. Now we're at 4. This is just wonderful. People are like, who's this fucking guy? And they leave. Everyone's like, oh, I came here for Wrath. And they just leave. But it's okay. I'm not offended. I'm not offended. Maybe a little bit, but I'm not too offended. We're here. Are we? No, you're no, Ida, you're great. Don't. I'm just messing around. Obviously, I'm just teasing. You guys are great. John says you don't need Rafford numbers. I know. I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm not saying I need RAF reviews or nothing. It's just I was just joking earlier. Speaking of, we do have a guest now. It's taking a minute, but we're enjoying it. People probably know him from the crazy comments he likes to leave on YouTube videos, mostly fantasy or historical related. That is Mac. How you doing, Mac?
I'm doing very fine, thank you. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Nice. Again, apologies, I wasn't prepared for joining you this evening, so perhaps you get me at my best look there, so I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Very nice. I mean, this is a more casual show than most, so that's okay. How are you doing, Mac?
I'm doing fine. Again, we were expecting some family visits, so that was one of the reasons why I was a bit unsure but it looks like it will be tomorrow rather. So again, it's Pentecostal, so you know.
Gotta love the cousins. Yeah, no, I have some family coming over later to watch a basketball game. I'm just like, oh yeah, well, okay. So that should be fun. Won't get in the way of this show here.
Yeah, I mean, if we were talking about sports, I mean, this weekend has been rather crazy for Norway. Actually, it's been we had the final for the women's football Champions League was in Oslo this weekend, and Caroline Graham Hansen, she plays for Barcelona, and they won. So that was sort of on a home field area. So that was kind of crazy. And then also Norway for the first time ever apparently beat Sweden in ice hockey, which is like, in a way it's a sport that most people don't care about, but it's apparently this is really big. So
I guess Sweden kicks ass at at hockey.
So,
I only know it as like the Canadian sport, and also it's pretty popular here.
Yeah, of course. So
soccer not so much, or football. Yeah, do you guys follow football?
And of course, it also has to be mentioned for soccer or football. Of course, Martin Ødegaard and Arsenal won the Champions League for men. So that's also, and again, having the Norwegian as their captain, it gives sort of a satisfaction when we are going to the World Cup, soccer or football World Cup this summer. So for the first time in 28 years, so they are really high on themselves now.
Well, that's always good. It's interesting. I'm rereading the Odyssey, and I'm like, oh man, maybe I should read some other epics. Have you read any of the other like epics, like the Aeneid or the Metamorphoses?
I have read, abbreviated versions at least. I don't think I've read the whole version as they are or something. I have to remember. There is a very good illustrated version by Alan Lee, who has illustrated a lot of the Tolkien stories.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can. That one I can highly recommend. I think I actually recommended it to you when we had a discussion earlier on the Odyssey movie, and I think I mentioned that in an ideal world, I would perhaps, have Alan Lee as a visual artist for an adaptation would be fantastic.
Yeah. No, we were talking about the Odyssey the other day. So I was like, oh, we'll make a good Odyssey.
We're saving that for next time. we can't get us doxed already. Have to give me some time to move and get all my affairs in order before the pitchforks are coming for me.
Yeah, no, I think what's interesting about this read of the Odyssey, like on the one hand, like there's like a lot of like raw emotionality in the Odyssey. Like there's a bunch of scenes where people are described like weeping over their lost comrades and stuff, which
Yeah, and that's one of the things, we think about, these stoic masculine heroes and so forth, but that's sort of great emotions is really the Greek way to do it. It's I mean, that's one of the reason. I don't know if you know the Alexander movie back in the 2004 or something.
Oh, I've heard of it. Is that the one with
Yeah.
Colin Farrell?
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, I think from a Greek perspective, I mean, if you it is actually works because it's all big emotions and like he's crying, he's angry, fighting, everything, and that's so. So it has been said that the movie has been written as it was to be made for an ancient Greek audience. Which unfortunately is not a modern audience, so I can understand the disconnect there.
I was joking with some friends last night. I was like, well, I guess it's fitting they got Matt Damon because, I guess Odysseus is pretty wicked smart, or wicked
Yeah,
smart.
he is. I love. Do you know Overly Sarcastic Production?
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I love that.
I watched some of their videos last night.
Yeah, I love that they do Odysseus as Snake from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I mentioned it earlier. I'm reading the Fagles edition because, I mean, hey, deep respect for Emily Wilson for being the first female to do a Homer translation, but I thought the language was a bit plain. And though apparently she was actually much more truer to the translation and to the rhythm of it. So maybe I'll read it at some point.
I mean, I think there are, as always, there will be a discussion when you do translation. Are you going to be faithful to what the words are being said, or are you going to try to replicate the rhythms and that you hardly ever can do everything at the same time. So I can so that's one of the reasons why it's all interesting to have multiple translations, but then you can see the differences. And yeah,
or it's gonna be an AI of Robin Williams who will call him Sport. Oh man.
Don't break my heart with Robin Williams. No.
Yeah, don't tempt Hollywood. I don't think Nolan would do that though, because how anal he is about practical effects.
Again, not to spoil too much of when we have to move our addresses and everything next time we are going to speak about this or something, but I do think just when you have Nolan, he's not going to focus on historical accuracy or anything. He is again, he's better than say Zack Snyder.
Oh God!
but again, both of them are very visual artists. Where it's to have something striking and something more. Again, for him, it's to have something that actually, let's say, okay. To have the Vikings, to have the Greeks use a Viking ship, it makes no sense. But
yeah,
the Viking
ship, what you thought of that? You're actually from Norway.
Yeah, but a Viking ship does float. It can be used, and that's again for him a much more important point than I have a ship that looks like it could have been done, but it can't sail. That's yeah.
Yeah, so. And I was reading a bit. I watched. Do you watch Oversimplified?
Yeah. I've seen it a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did the Punic Wars, and just from what he was describing, that war sounded insane. Just oh man.
Yeah,
how many ships they built and got destroyed. I'm just like, damn, dude.
Yeah, and again, it's fascinating. I've actually been to ancient Carthage, seen the ruins there, and it's very special to be there because you literally feel the feel of history and at the place, But of course, it is totally devastated. So,
of the puns.
Yeah. But you still see the area where the shipyard, that oval in the harbor where they made the warships. You can still see that island in the ruins. So it's very fun. You can literally lap on to the. And speaking of Carthage, that's one book that I think perhaps could have been into your wheel of the fitting for you, and that is. Gustave Flaubert. He wrote Salammbô. which I've mentioned it earlier, perhaps in
You
some
mentioned one
comment.
of his. You mentioned one of his like pulpier books. You said was
Yeah.
like the inspiration for. Isn't it Scaramouche or that's someone else? No.
I don't know Scaramouche, but it is sort of it's very clearly it was inspiration for Fafner and the Grey Mouser
Yeah.
by Fitz Leiber, and it's
I need to
very
reread both.
yeah, and it's very fascinating to read because again it is written in like 1862, so it could easily have been published in the 1930s, and I would not been surprised to say at least. So I that's one of the reasons why it is technically historical fiction, but I think it could be called a grandfather of sword and sorcery because there is this element of prophecy, and even if it's not strictly magic, there is this layer of superstition, and of course there is this famous scene of human sacrifice, children sacrificed, that is very infamous. So
Oh.
yeah. It's one of the things that it's very clearly it was a really big part of fiction in the late 18th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, because you see it very clearly in, for example, in Metropolis by Fritz Lang in the 1920s. It's very clearly that the vision that the main protagonist there, when he sees the workers are being worked to death, and he sort of got this vision of them being thrown into a sort of sacrificial fire, and so it's very clearly it's meant to be inspired by Salambo. And and I talked earlier about Orson Welles.
Oh,
and in
yeah.
Citizen Kane, there is a fictional opera of Salambo, which is sort of not an important plot, but it says that it was very clearly some part of the cultural sphere of that area. So I can recommend it because I think it works even today. And there's some gnarly scenes. It's one of the reasons why I think it's sort of a 200-page Molassen book, sort of.
Oh, that's good to know. I was kind of, if you recall, I was rather frustrated with Gardens of the Moon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, that's why I say
I even made a whole conversation about it.
It's just 200 pages. It's not, you don't have to suffer for like 10 books to get the payoff for it.
Yeah, I was like, God. I'll definitely, I will read Dead House Gates at some point because people are like, oh my God, it gets better, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll read this one more, and if I don't like it, I'm not reading anymore. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking of books that I have, again, recently just finished Bloody Rose by Nicholas
Oh yeah,
Ames.
what do you think of that?
I mean, I do think, again, I think I'm very bad at doing off the cuff reviews, but I would say it still works. So I'm still interested in the third book whenever that comes out.
I've heard it's kind of like I've heard it's about like it's kind of like it's about a rock band kind of.
It's very clearly inspired by I mean, the first book is very clearly based on the big stadium rock bands of the 70s and 80s, Led Zeppelin and those kind of bands. And then sort of having to work with a younger generation that clearly are evoking, the hair metal bands of the 80s and so forth, a bit more.
I have both the books over here. I just haven't read them yet because I was like,
I think Kings of the Wild. I mean, the thing that it sets out as just comedy or satire, but there is, of course, I think it gets actually a bit deep in some spots. So I always have a soft spot for people when you can both laugh and cry in a book for like that. So yeah.
So Terry Pratchett does that well. I mean, I haven't cried in any of his books, but he does emotional stuff really well, while also being quite funny.
Yeah.
I will continue to Discworld Files for anyone who's wondering. I just don't know when I can add another. I'm probably just gonna say screw it and read maybe just say screw it and read Color of Magic. Just see where I land on it, get it out of the way. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I also recently finished continuing the the books by Mary Mackey. Been reading The Horse at the Gates, so it's a more historical fiction / fantasy.
There's a lot of those like historical fantasies, like
Hmm?
there's a lot of those historical fantasies. I'm reading I'm reading Gloriana. I'm probably gonna finish it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. I think it's Michael Moorcock's best book. Like I really do.
Yeah, again, Moorcock, the one thing that is very fascinating, early Moorcock, he was writing essentially a book over a weekend with, I don't know what kind of substances taken. So, obviously, as he matured as a writer, he has really, and the thing is, he is such a chameleon when it comes to writing. And that's very fascinating, how he can, he can, I recently read his books, The Time Lord. There's at least it's sort of
Is it the steampunk one?
Yeah, it's sort of a multi-version. Steampunk, yeah. Before steampunk again, it was written before steampunk, but again, today we would very clearly read it as steampunk. And again, he very evokes, the writings of, say, H.G. Wells or those kind of writers at that turn of the century. While of course, with the more with the Elric books, it's more of a sword and sorcery, and I would think with Gloriana, it's more evoking Elizabethan writing, isn't it?
Yes, and it's really quite great. A lot of people compare it to Gormenghast, and I could see it for sure. But I think there's a lot of Shakespeare in that book as well.
Yeah,
there's a lot of theatricality with the characters, I find.
Yeah, again, they are both Englishmen who, Shakespeare is going to be part of their literature heritage either way. You have been reading Gormenghast, haven't you?
I read the first one. I was going to read the whole trilogy last year, but considering how dense Titus Groan is, I'm like, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
There is this
great book, though. It's a really good book.
Yeah, there is this comedian. Eleanor. I don't remember the last name, but she has this a sketch series of her where she is doing Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, and there's always a recurring joke about the writer of Gormenghast. I forgot his name now. Melvin Peake. He always comes at the end and you're like, okay, now we have to buttons up because he's coming. So I sort of have a...
Well, C.S. Lewis actually liked Gormenghast. He's blurbed on.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Again, they were all three part of the Inklings, so it makes sense that they had opinions.
Kale, how you doing?
Greetings.
But yeah, no, Gormenghast is so fascinating. It's more like a gothic novel than anything else.
Yeah. Speaking about writing sort of examples of genres, again, I've been reading Kim Stanley Robinson's California trilogy.
Oh yes, I'm going to start his book Red Mars soon. So very much looking forward to that.
And again, in that he's sort of writing again from the perspective of the late 80s, early 90s. He is sort of writing potential futures for California, as more specifically Southern California around Orange County, where he spent I think most of his life, at his early life. And the first book, Wild Shore, is sort of a post-apocalyptic setting, the Gold Coast. It had been described to me as cyberpunk, and to a certain extent it is, but I think it's more it's more taking the extremes of the 80s, when it came to, say, the Star Wars program by Reagan and so forth, to the next step, more than cyber hacking and so forth, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And Ida brings up a good point too. She says, I didn't make it through all the Elric stuff. I think she meant to say it meandered too much, which there is a lot of it is Moorcock kind of making it up as he's going along. So you'll feel that. You'll definitely feel that now.
Yeah. And one thing I think is important, again, it's with me, you always get context. That is when it comes to Moorcock, he was literally hanging out with, the big bands, the bands like Hawk Moon and Rolling Stones, and he was seeing how, say for example, Mick Jagger, for example, how literally a god on the scene when he was performing, and then suddenly being turned into a shell of a man by drugs or by agents, totally wrecking their finances and so forth. So it's very clearly he's sort of evoking that in Elric.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely Moorcock's interesting because I think when he like slows down and like kind of takes his time, he's a really good writer. But there are definitely those
again the younger
he-
versions where he's writing a book in a week. That's it's sort of crazy. But
Yeah,
the thing,
exactly.
but it's interesting thing, is still working. I mean, is he 90?
He's like 86, I think.
Yeah.
He's nearing 90.
I know he's in literally in contact with the Outlaw bookseller and so forth. Literally sending him. Oh no, I like covers that has been new covers for the ones he have books he's signed and so forth. So he's still up and going, and that's again, it's fascinating to think that Michael Moorcock is still around. I mean, yeah. Again, if you
got good genes, I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, to read some of his books like The Time Lord and the again, he's not subtle about his politics.
No,
oh man,
Emerald Starship Stormtroopers.
Yeah, let's just say Ronald Reagan shows up, and that's before he was elected as the president.
Oh boy!
And I love that in one of the forwards for that book series, he literally wrote that I didn't expect that feudalism would return with Maggie Thatcher.
Oh man, man, everyone was beating up on Margaret Thatcher back in the day.
I mean, there's that SNL sketch, the punker who hate the Queen, hate the police. I really love Maggie Thatcher. I love that sketch.
Yeah, it's good. Hold on, what am I doing here?
But yeah, I was talking about genres that sort of before their own town, and Kim Stanley, he also wrote the last book, which I just read, The Pacific Edge, which is sort of what we would today call solar punk. Essentially, it's sort of his. He would perhaps more call it, ecological. It's sort of if everything had gone right. Let's say we turn the leaf in the 1980s to a better future. Again, from his perspective, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with Kim Stanley Robinson's politics, but I if he's good science fiction writer, I'll read him. I like China Mieville, so.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to.
From mine.
Again, you don't have to agree with people's politics to find interesting points in the writing and so forth. So, and again, I think he sort of stands out compared to a lot of other science fiction. Right? Again, you have cyberpunks people virtually ripping off William Gibson. It's fascinating to have someone who writes a different genre, essentially, from what William Gibson is. Present a different kind of future, and that's there's also interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like Jeff Vandermeer. I think Vandermeer is really fascinating because he's putting such a unique spin on science fiction.
Yeah, that's Annihilation.
Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance, and then there's the new one that just came out. I'm blanking on it. Why am I blanking on it? Where is it? It's right over here. Oh, Absolution is what it's called, which was not as good. I do recommend the trilogy though.
Yeah.
I've been hesitant to try his fantasy saga because it just kind of seems like Diet Bazlag, but I could be wrong. I do like Vandermeer quite a bit. I've also heard people say it's not as good as something like Veraconium, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, you read Veraconium, didn't you? By John Harrison.
I want to. I have the collected edition right over there. I just haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to read a
Again,
Nova
yeah,
swing from him soon.
again, I would say it's a very European kind of post-apocalyptic world, so it's sort of a how to put it, it's sort of it's not Mad Max, but it's more the Three Musketeers mixed with the gangs of, say, what's the Stanley Kubrick movie again about Orange, Clockwork Orange? Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Interesting.
So it's a very
I think Harrison's interesting because he has very unconventional beliefs about like world building. Which, I'm a big world building. I'm a world building nerd. I like that stuff. So I mean, I find that kind of weird. I mean, I don't know if I agree with him necessarily, but I'm interested in what he thinks about it.
Yeah, again, sometimes you have to, even if you don't agree, you have to read stuff that are influential, and you don't again, I'm studying history. You can read historians that you don't necessarily agree with, but you kind of have to read them to know how to argue against them if you don't agree with them.
Read like David Irving, go like, man, this guy's
oh yeah, that's yeah. Oh dear God, no.
No, I'm being facetious there. He's
I
know.
Example.
I'm sure
it's next week we're getting cancelled, right? Next week.
Yeah. I'll have to message you. We'll link up. It's I really like I haven't read a lot of nonfiction history recently. I've been wanting to. There's been like there's been some I've wanted to get to, like biographies. I don't. I am hoping for 2027 to read a lot of historical fiction. So maybe I'll slap in some biographies in there, some real life history in there.
Yeah, of course. Remind me, had you read John Gardner's? I forget the monster from Beowulf.
Is it Grendel?
Grendel, yeah.
Not yet. I have it though. It's right over there. I don't want to pull it out, but I'm hoping to read it soon.
Yeah. Again, I read it last year, and I found it very, very compelling because again, it's very short, but
someone said it was hilarious, which I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely some comedy in there, but the thing is that what's fascinating is while it's not very difficult to understand or anything, but it's very clear that every one of the 12 chapters in the book represents a different type of philosophy, and that's very fascinating when you kind of looks into it. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's say the Old Testament or the New Testament.
There's this wonderful animation I saw of it. Maybe I'll send it to you later. When
existentialism. And many other, and Nietzsche, all these different kinds of philosophies in.
I mean, William Blake is in the epigraph, so I'm like, all right, I thought. Yeah. I want to read his book on moral fiction at some point. That seems like something I would. I don't know if I'll agree with all of it, but I'm sure I'll find a lot of interesting things to ponder in that book.
Yeah. I just read his book, The Wreckage of Agathon, which is sort of a fictional philosopher being arrested by the first tyrant of Sparta, and it's again, it's also definitely one of those books that very hilarious, but also very poignant for this time we are today. Let's just say it. So,
you know what? I'll just. Here's my copy. I got it on.
Nice. Yeah, and again, it's
beautiful animation. I saw of it on YouTube. Maybe I'll send it to you later if you haven't already seen it. But I just was like, oh my God, if they make a movie of Grendel, they should just do that. Like, because it's and it looks like the cover. It's really cool.
I could totally see that because it's again, it's not a particularly long book, but it's there's some really evocative imagery in scenery in the book, so I could totally see it.
Frank Carroll likes it, and he's very picky about what fantasy he reads. So I mean, then again, he did read The Worm Earl Burroughs, so I'm like, that's crazy. I'm a bit nervous to read that book.
Yeah, and again,
I Gorman guess for fun, but The Worm Earl Burroughs, oh man.
Again, one of again, we talk about historical accuracy. Again, at one point, Grendel mentioned to the cliffs of Denmark, and I am as a Norwegian. what cliffs of Denmark? Denmark is as flat as a pancake, but it's still it works in the story, and that's what it is. You don't always have to be historical accurate to get the point of thought.
I'm very not anal about that stuff. I mean, one of my favorite movies is The Patriot, and that's about as inaccurate to colonial America as the real Swamp Fox was like a notoriously like vicious slave owner. But
again, I'm quoting South Park here, but Mel Gibson knows his storytelling.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, Apocalypto, again, does it work as historical fiction? No, but again, the thing about Apocalypto, it sort of works in the way that, again, it works in a sort of magical realism way, because again,
I don't really get his beef with the the British though. He's
British
and, like,
again, he's Australian, I believe, of Irish ancestry, so there's some generational trauma there that he's working through. Apparently, I'm not gonna be defend the English on that burger.
Well, I'm not going to defend the English either. There's plenty of reason to not like the English, but when you make two movies about murdering English people, like you get some side eye, and you're like, what are you getting at, Mel Gibson?
And again, that's it. I do the when it comes to William Wallace, I guess I'm sort of
he's a bit more psychotic than Braveheart would have it.
I am.
He was kind of the Thomas Paine, Leon Trotsky of the Scottish revolutionaries. He was like kind of useful but really crazy. You gotta keep arm's length.
Yeah,
at least that's what I
was going to say. I am actually a descendant of Robert de Bruce.
Oh wow!
I might be a bit. Not the most unbiased opinion on the movie.
Outlaw King was pretty good.
Yeah. So it's
apparently really, more historically authentic.
Yeah. Again, it does take its historical liberties also, but yeah. So, but yeah, funny enough, I'm also a descendant of Douglas, the knight in the Outlaw. So, but again, they were Scottish royalty. They were marrying into each other all the time. So it's not that if you have some Scottish heritage, you most likely is going to have some.
Yeah, I'm mostly Irish and Scandinavian.
Yeah. So
in English. So
yeah,
pure white on my end.
Yeah. No, but it's
really some ancestry in Jamestown. That's pretty cool. It was always
that's cool. Yeah. I mean, all that back. Yeah, and that's. I mean, it's. But again, I don't know if it wasn't with you. I was talking about Sam from Ice Samwise. He was talking about this series, the Witch Who War series.
Oh, the DJ. I've been wanting to read those. Yeah.
But I have to admit, colonial America, even though it's sort of an alternative take on it, isn't usually my style, at least right now. But I was intrigued that it was sort of having these the mound builders, Cahokia, and those sort of was mentioned in the synopsis, and so that's because that's one of the things that I find very interesting. I mean, there's this joke that Americans have 300-year history, but again, with the mound builders and the Cahokia, and it's a lot older, so it's really fascinating about us. And again, they disappeared perhaps even before Christopher Columbus came to America. So again, I don't think it's very clearly that the diseases that he brought with him didn't help, but it's it makes it's a bit more complex than what can be told. Yeah. So it's a fascinating part of American history that I think it should be more documented and talked about.
Yeah, I think what interested me is, well, one, I think America has like myths and stuff that people could play with and other in fantasy, but Also, it kind of, from what it sounded like, American Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I'm like, oh, that sounds really. I really like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also that one scene where they kind of teleport to America briefly, and then they teleport back, and the natives are like, "What the hell was that?" You know?
Yeah.
And Dave Parker, I guess he read it and was like, I wonder what those people were up to.
Yeah, I even made a list out of the synopsis of the 4 books, and Sam, he of course laughed very, very much of that. You know, of course, you have made a list already. We haven't read it, but you already made a list. But there's some clear points. You know, for example, they're talking about Temple Franklin, and that's of course referencing to the grandson of Benjamin Franklin.
I think it's They Take Our Lives, but I get the joke.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that accent was that Mel Gibson was doing.
Yeah.
They take our lives, and they're like, "What is that? Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah. Again, don't get me starting again. This is I've become much more emotionally attached to this after knowing that I literally have some skin in this moment. So I don't know. I'm probably the last person you should talk about this to get an unbiased view on it. But again, it's a movie. It really works, but but the problem again is when it's being presented. Oh, this is history as it was. Then it of course becomes a bit more.
I'm not super anal about like historical accuracy in movies. But
I get that. Again, I'm not too fussy actually about historical fiction either, or the historical accuracy necessarily in fiction. But the problem is when stuff that clearly is fiction it sort of become history for the general, a pop cultural history for a lot of people, and that can be somehow be, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
of course, by bringing Jesus back to life. That's a sequel. Whatever the hell.
I mean, I actually saw The Passion of the Christ very recently, actually, and
that's a hard one to sit through.
Yeah, again. Yeah, you kind of he again. I hate to shame Catholics, but they do have a fascination for that sort of suffering with Christ, taking that to this sort of extreme, and that's again you see it very clearly in stuff like, for example, Braveheart and so forth. He is it's very yeah.
It's a film that was made, and it's probably the most disturbing film about Jesus I've ever watched. I mean,
yeah. And there was also this movie with Nicolas Cage. I don't know if it's come out yet. But,
I saw that. I'm like, what the hell is that? It seems vaguely blasphemous.
Yeah.
Not that I'm like super anal about that either, but it's like,
but again, it's Nicolas Cage. It's gonna be weird, very weird. Let's just put it up. Next book I'm gonna read is I'm gonna continue with Mary Gentle's The Book of Ash series. I don't know.
Mary Gentle. I thought you were talking about Renault for a minute. I'm like,
oh yeah, no. I'm currently reading that too, but that's on my digital reader, so I don't have it. I can't show it physically here. But yeah, I'm reading. I just started with. I think it was Praetor who talked about that. Or was it who was it was talking about the?
Praetor was talking about that.
Yeah. And again, I just started with it, but I think she's a good writer, of course. It's very interesting, this period. She clearly knew. It's very clearly evoking the Minoans and the Mycenaeans. It's not ancient Greece as we think it would. With Sparta and all this, it's an older Greece she's presenting. The fascinating thing is, of course, she is a woman, but I have read many of those have talk to about it, so she's almost bordering on misogynistic in her writing. But then as an historian, again, the Greeks were very misogynistic, so it makes sense that in the setting of the world,
I was about to say there's a lot of misogyny in the Odyssey.
Again, I don't want to say that it's universal.
I was about to say I don't think it's like meant to be like
but
good,
it's very prominent in ancient Greek text. Again, there was this thought that the woman was an unfinished man, essentially. So it's a very but so again, it's a bit fascinating. But you could argue that she's just trying to replicate the genre of the time. But then again, you have writers such as Emily Wilson, who has sort of trying to take that out of the texts and so forth in the Iliad and so forth, as I understood it. But again, yeah. The problem is that are you then sanitizing it, or are you? It's a complex issue, rather than
I haven't read the Emily Wilson version. I'm reading the Robert Fagles version because I like the flow and rhythm of the language more in that. I just tell me of a complicated man, like why'd you do that? Why'd you start it that way? But okay, maybe I'm not being fair, but I do respect that she's like a woman who did the Odyssey. That's pretty cool. That I know that probably sounds really stupid, but that probably came out wrong. But hopefully you guys get what I mean.
No, it's I think to get different perspective of issues is there's a value in that of course. So my point was more that again, I can see the point of removing misogynistic parts of the Iliad and so forth, but the problem is are you then sanitizing it? That was more my point. It's
that's
are
fair.
you then?
I mean,
and that's,
I've seen people complain about that. I don't.
I'm constantly fascinated by people who are like, "Oh, the ancient Greeks was so progressive," and like, no, they were not very progressive.
They were in some ways and they weren't in others.
Let's just say there's a certain island they would have thrived on. Let's just say that.
It's like ancient Rome or early America. It's like they were pretty forward thinking in some ways, and then they were really backwards thinking in a lot.
So it's
But wait, why is it called Passion of the Christ if he's getting, his ass beat the whole movie? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean,
I have to ask Mel Gibson maybe.
Again, I'm gonna. It's again. It's an English title, so I'm gonna be a bit off. But I do think the passion. It's related to the suffering of Christ. It should be translated as suffering of Christ. Yeah, the Passion of the Christ. Yeah, that it's sort of
That's funny. Plural, like sound like a romp through Jesus. Weird. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. But yeah.
But again, it's typical that words that have changed meaning over time. Like gay, not meaning fun but having a different meaning today. Sort of like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I know what you mean, Zevlin. I haven't heard of the Otto Steen Christian Wilster. I've heard of like the Fitzgerald version. I've heard of heard Alexander Pope did a version. Lawrence of Arabia did a version.
I wouldn't be surprised. Again, he did write the Seven Pillars of Wisdom, and so it would make sense. And again, he was sort of a public school. I don't know if I would not be surprised if he went to Eton. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I love that. Just the idea of Jesus like force choking one of his followers for getting it wrong or something like that. It's like it's love thy neighbor, and he's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. He wouldn't do that. He's a good Jedi though.
Yeah. Again, I was talking recently to Joanna about when I was talking about it, and it's fascinating how much of British literature, and everyone went to Eton essentially. If Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, he was the French teacher of George Orwell at Eton.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I knew he was a teacher of something to George Orwell.
Yeah.
I didn't know which one it was.
So it's a bit, it's always, it's very, and it's one of the things that I think both from an American and from a Scandinavian perspective, this old boys network of the public schools of England, again, and in public school I mean private schools, the British and the class system.
Which is probably because it is a Danish translation. Okay, that's
fair. That would make sense.
I didn't think.
Yeah, but have do. Just having a bit fun with the Danish here.
It's the part that really creeped me out about Passion of the Christ is the little demon kids running around. Like I was like, good God, Mel, what are you doing?
Yeah, again, probably seen the Omen and something like that. Yeah, you really using it for it was worth. But again, but I have again one of Mel Gibson. He is, let's say, a complicated figure to say the least. But you got to respect him for. Again, it is an independent financed movie, and it became a box office, and actually, it gets good reviews and so forth. With that and with
baby. Why'd you bring that up? Because the baby
and being
oh my God.
Again, to speak in Aramaic and in Latin and so forth.
That's true. Yeah, that was a good choice.
Again, that's one of the reasons, and to use Maya language in Apocalypto and so forth, again, I got to give him some respect for that, that's
really going for the immersion. I respect that.
Again, as I said, I know people dunk on Apocalypto from a historical accuracy perspective, but the thing that I kind of like Apocalypto, it works into the South American tradition of magical realism to sort of fuse time and space a bit, so it kind of works as a more again, it's so again. Yeah, the Mayans civilization collapsed way before any of the Spanish came, but it works to, if you're not telling necessarily a historical accurate story, but you're telling a sort of larger truth. If you say, the civilization was destroyed before the Spanish came, but again, it would be even more disappear with the Spanish. So again, it sort of works in that aspect.
Yeah, I've seen the ending of Apocalypto. I'm like, that's really effective. Probably not how it happened, but nonetheless.
Yeah, again, it's not how it happened. But again, I tell you, it is a sort of larger truth that beyond, they could have said 500 years later or something like that, but it wouldn't have the same impact, and again. And again, Spanish South America is sort of very fascinated by magical realism. Is sort of in the blood of a lot of South American fiction, so it sort of works on that level.
Yeah, I've not seen. Is it still on Tubi? I have no idea. I'll have to look.
Yeah.
Tubi. There it is. Oh, what? Yeah, I mean, I saw some people were hating on the director of Good Omens, which don't do that. Like, why are you doing that, guys? That doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
But
speaking of directors, I think I mentioned it in the chat, but I also had a binge of Orson Welles recently this weekend. So
yes.
Yeah. So again, A Touch of Evil. I think you as pulp crime fiction lover would really love that. Again, it's fascinating, how.
It is on Tubi still. All right, maybe I'll have to watch it at some point. No, I'm not want to watch it right now.
I can go. No, but seriously, what I was talking about, Orson Welles is such a fascinating character, both as a filmmaker and as and again, to make Citizen Kane as your debut film, that's something. That's let's just say like that. And it's fascinating how again how innovating. Again, I think he's a great actor, Orson Welles. You really see use not just again his dialogue, but his face and his whole body into the acting is really fascinating to see. But again, one of the things that is fascinating is this how he's using the camera, really using the camera. There is, I think I shared it on several discords. The comparison was to the Laurence Olivier movies and his take on the Shakespeare movies, and it's very fascinating how they are very different interpretations. Laurence Olivier is probably the greatest stage performer of Shakespearean thespianism, but
Interesting.
also
Okay.
yeah, but it's very, in a lack of a word, stagey. It's very the
I
camera
was
is
gonna
very
say maybe like Ian McKellen or Patrick Stewart or something. Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, those two also have to be into that discussion. But I think on stage, I think
Oh,
Oliver Savia is perhaps unmatched. But I think
I thought you
Orson
meant
Welles,
Orson Welles. My bad.
yeah, but Orson Welles, I think he's a much better film adapter. He uses the strengths of the camera, to have close-ups that you just can't do on a stage performance, for example, or edits and cuts that you again can't you do in the same way. And it's also very fascinating, because he was constantly in short of money. It's fascinating. There is this video. It's free
Hey,
on
he lived
YouTube.
big. He spent big.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
ate big. He
yeah,
got
yeah.
super fat.
Again, I loved it. This documentary. Essentially, is him having lunch with those he made Othello together with, 20 years later. And it's just I find it very fascinating because they are essentially just sitting there eating food and everything and discussing the movie. Uh, and I love the how do you talk, how honest they are about how, and I think that I say honest with a catch because it's also very clear he loves to tell a told tale, Orson Welles. So he was sort of a born storyteller. But I'm fascinated by how, with the very few resources he had, how he managed to get such evocative imagery. And again, it's very clear that, for example, one of my favorite movies of him is his adaptation of the Henriade by Shakespeare. I forget the name. Midnight Time, but it's very clearly that movie inspired, for example, the Henry V made by Kenneth Branagh, for example, which again you would see as a big inspiration for, say, for example, the Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones, for example. So it's fascinating to see how he used. Again, my point is, I'm fascinated by Orson Welles both as an actor, but also as a director, and it's very fascinating to see how he used the camera and himself in his movies.
I like the Laurence Olivier as Richard III, but then again,
I mean, again, I was saying he is an amazing Richard III. But again, I also love the version by Ian Kellen from the 90s, where he sort of takes it into the makes Richard III as a sort of 1930s fascistic dictator and so forth. And again, it works on a different level, but it really also works. So my point is more, I think Laurence Olivier, he is the most, the classic adaptator of Shakespeare. But I think both Kenneth Branagh and Ian McKellen and others, they love to do their own twist on it, and it's very fascinating to see that twist. And you also have, of course, Akira Kurosawa twists with
Yeah,
Throne of
Ron's
Blood
probably my
and Ram.
favorite, like Shakespearean related. Like, I mean, it's not technically an adaptation, but it's basically Samurai King Lear, but it's like it's not really. It's more like he kind of just borrowed the structure and did his own thing with it. But
Yeah,
of course,
of course. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You know, he's taking a structure and making it something and its own commentary, and I think it's very fascinating how it says something about the universality of uh, of Shakespeare, that it works both in Throne of Blood, which is his take on Akira Kurosawa's take on Macbeth, and of Ran, which is his adaptation of King Lear.
Yeah, I haven't seen Throne of Blood. I would like to. I know it was on HBO Max a while back, but I haven't gotten Max again. So there's so many damn streaming services. It's ridiculous. I'm just.
No, but I can recommend Throne of Blood. And again, it's a fascinating. I think
I've seen Yojimbo, which I really liked.
Yeah.
Ikiru, which I love. In Ron, which I also love.
Yeah, I think it probably do the best action adaptations of Shakespeare. Perhaps. I mean, when you see Throne of Blood again, I mean, I believe when you see Toshino Mifune, I mean, they actually, I think they actually used real arrows actually to shoot them.
Yeah.
And they had excellent marksmen to shoot those arrows. And you're like 1 inch and he would be dead.
Everyone's always like, bro, you gotta watch Seven Samurai, bro. And I'm like, I know, I haven't. I need to make some time for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really great film. I mean, and not just the action, but again, the way he Akira Kurosawa composes, to use nature, whether it's fog or it's rain or it's sun or wind. It's really fascinating how, and again, in black and white, so it becomes very fascinating how it becomes. Yeah, and again, of course, there is this scene where. This infamous scene where he cuts and suddenly the blood pump just exploded.
Oh yeah,
which of course became
Ron? Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very again, it's very theatrical, which is fine. I like theatrical acting when it's done well.
But yeah, Throne of Blood. That's was sort of his adaptation of Macbeth.
Yeah, I really love Ikiru quite a bit because it's I think it's just really powerful stuff.
Yeah. Again,
that first half I think is absolutely flawless. The second half is great too, but it did kind of throw me off. Like, oh, he died. Okay, that's weird. But
Yeah, I can also recommend
the ending really kind of
Living.
makes up for it. But that first half I think is just absolutely flawless. Just like that actor who plays the guy who's dying is devastating. Like it is really sad. It is really hard to watch him at times.
Yeah. I can really also recommend the Living, the English adaptation of Ikiru with Billy Nye, I believe. And I forget who wrote the guy who did the Remainders of the Day.
Ishiguro.
Yeah. He was he rewrote the manuscript for Living. So
I'll have to watch it.
So I can recommend
I was kind of hesitant because I think Ikiru is kind of this like perfect thing, Like I don't know.
Yeah, but I do think it worked very well.
Like you don't really need to add to it.
Yeah. But I do think it worked very well being set to sort of post World War II Britain. It sort of gets sort of a different. It's a different feel, of course, but there is some a universal themes. Again, both of them are inspired by the death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy. So. So again, which again is a Russian story. So it says something about
what is up with Russians and writing these big fat novels. I don't get it.
Again, I don't think Even Illich is that big. Actually, it's a much more shorter. But again, War and Peace, and I do love the story that War and Peace was actually sort of the what you call it, the forward to the story. Leo Tolstoy actually wanted to write. He wanted to write about the Decembrist rebellion, but he sort of had to explain, well, how did these Russians get the ideas of the French Revolution to them? And then he sort of had to explain that because of
Feel
the
free to, Darnell. I do want to read War and Peace at some point. I just,
Yeah.
I just need to make some time for it.
yeah. I can also recommend the BBC adaptation from a couple of years ago with Paul Dano who else was? I think Gillian Anderson was also in it. Yeah, so it's a. I think the fun part of that, it was actually shot in, I believe, I don't think it was shot in Russia because of understandable reasons, but I think it was shot in the Baltics and so they use actual real Russian castles from that period that's still in that area. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched Waterloo
Yeah, of
a
course.
while back, and that's
Yeah,
a really good movie.
Yeah. Again, of course, you don't get that sort of battles in the War and Peace adaptation by BBC. That's one thing I would say. Again, the Russians, they know how to do scale and epicness on that level when it comes to their movies. But when it comes to act,
I want to watch more like
I would say
Russian.
that I'm not that. I do think the Brits are generally better actors, if that's fair to say. Again, I just didn't buy the guy who plays
I love Stalker, but
the
everyone looks
lead
super depressed the whole time.
in the Russian adaptations of War and Peace. Again, he is not. But that's one of the reasons why Waterloo, it sort of combines the epicness of the Russian films, and then you have Western actors, sort of Christopher Plummer and who's plays Napoleon again?
I forget who plays him. Someone can mention it in the comments, but I'd love to read War and Peace at some point. I just don't have enough time for it. It's it's a tome. It's a tome, and then Anna Karenina is also a tome.
Yeah. But again, I don't think that of Even Illich is that long.
I think it's more a short story, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like 100 pages or something. So I think that would be really.
I'm considering reading Crime and Punishment next year. So
yeah, I actually read The Brothers Karamazov by
how was that?
Over New Year.
I heard I hear that's a probing read.
Yeah, but I was actually a bit. Perhaps this says something about my humor, but I laughed so much from that movie because especially the opening, it's so hilarious because you can't help but laugh of all the tribulations of the brothers. I mean, it's very clear that their father is such a low life of a person who has no interest of anyone other than himself. So all the children get sent to different people, and you're like, oh no, these poor brothers are like they are being so mistreated. You kind of have to laugh of how.
Yeah, I've only read The Grand Inquisitor from Dostoevsky.
And I also can recommend The Master and Margarita by.
I wanted to read that as well for a long time. I just haven't done it.
I don't remember the name in Bulgakov. And again, that's also fascinating because again, Bulgakov was one of Stalin's favorites. So it is sort of a secret history or project of his. Him criticizing the Stalin period and.
Yeah, I hear that Tolstoy is a bit more propulsive than like Dostoevsky, and Dostoevsky seems a bit more like cerebral.
Yeah, that would make sense. I think again, I haven't read the full version, though I have it, so I do plan to read it sometime or sooner. But I'm not as hesitant to read it as I think a lot of. Again, the size sort of scares a lot of people more away, but I don't think he's that difficult to write. It's more about stuff that I think is perhaps a bit difficult to translate to a modern audience, such as the Russian aristocracy using a lot of nicknames and so forth, so you can become who are they talking about, if you don't get why they are referred to as that. Yeah.
I do like Deal with the Devil stories, so maybe I'll have to pick up Master Margarita at some point.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's really is it's a great satire on and it's a lot of Faustian, a lot of Faust in Master and the Margarita. So.
Oh man, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Sorry, but yeah, I'm gonna read American Tabloid next and While Darkness Gathers. So Philip Chase, if you watch this, I'm coming for you, buddy.
Yeah, again, I perhaps also is a bit biased when it comes to Philip Chase. Again, I met him a couple of years ago, so
yeah. Is While Darkness Gathers any good? Is it?
Yeah, I think it's again. I think how to put it. I do think the trilogy stands on its own, but it is nice to be. It's really nice to be back into the world of Idan. Yeah. So it's I think you will enjoy it. Again, it is sort of the next generation. I don't think that I'm spoiling too much with that.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
So it's fun to see all the versions of the characters we have met, and of course the next generation. So
I've heard Orvindale comes back in that.
Again, I'm not going to spoil anything. But again, let's just say there's a lot of Beowulf in there. No surprise there.
Yeah. He loves Beowulf, all right.
Yeah. But there's also So it's and of course, as I said, I have a list, so I'll keep you oriented.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about reading Beowulf again because I'm going to read Grendel soon, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to manage it. I might have to find it at my local library or something.
Yeah, again, I don't think it would be. I would. Most libraries would most likely, again, in the English-speaking world, I would presume have at least one edition. So yeah, that I think again, I don't think you have to do it to get Beowulf, Grendel, but again, it's always nice to have that contrast side by side, sort of.
I mean, I think it would be nice personally. And plus, I'm having such a good time with the Odyssey. I'm like, oh man, I might need to read another epic soon. Even though I know Beowulf's a bit different, it's kind of
it's
more like look at this guy's valiant deeds. Oh,
yeah. But again, it's about. I think you asked me earlier if I had read the books by Ovid.
The Metamorphosis.
Yeah, Metamorphosis. I don't think I've read. At least I've read. I don't know if I've read the full text, but I've read some of his stories. And again, Ovid. The thing about Ovid is you have to sort of context is really important. How he's writing this at the same time as Emperor Augustus is ruling in Rome, and it's very clear a lot of these myths they get focus on anti-authoritarian version of them. For example, earlier version of Medusa, for example, it's a lot more clear that she's a monster, square and fair, but he makes her a lot more a sympathetic victim, actually, from the machinations of the gods. And it's not too difficult to read into it that he is sort of making a point of the how the powerful emperor is making his life much more harder.
Yeah, I heard Ovid was exiled for whatever reason we don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah, one of the books I'm hoping to read maybe next year is An Imagined Life, I think is what it's called, David Maluf book. We'll see.
Yeah. No, but again, so, and of course he wrote the Aeneid, and it's of course a very the Aeneid again. Speaking of the Iliad again, it's very fascinating how the Romans again they present themselves as descendants of the Trojans, which is a fascinating aspect. They sort of the losers of the tragedy becomes sort of heroic as the ancestors of the current ruling empire. So it's a fascinating aspect of how the Iliad would be read at that time compared to now, for example.
I mean, there's one part in the Broken Sword where Odin just shows up at the random dude's house and is like, "Hey, what's up?" And he leaves. I forget what he says, but Broken Sword's pretty good.
Oh yeah. That's again, it's one of those stories that again, it's fascinating. It was written at the same time as Lord of the Rings was published, and it's a very different take on many of the same, especially the Finnish myths of
Much more
the Kalevala.
fatalistic.
Yeah.
Compared
And
to
of course, a lot more decadent and amoral elves than Tolkien would ever have written. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
it's definitely. I could definitely see the influence it had on something like Elric. You know, with the cursed sword and how it drives you crazy and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Fate and
and
all that.
of course the use of one of the reasons why I don't remember the name of the protagonist, but again, one of the reasons why he is kidnapped by the elves is that he can use iron, this tool that is poisonous to the elves, and to have him on their side, to wield a weapon against the war in their wars against the trolls, and again just to have the troll fleet being armed with
Yeah, don't they
mercenaries from
recommend him
China.
banging his sister or something like that? It's something crazy.
Yeah. Again,
It's very Oedipal.
again, Siegfried. Let's just say don't look into his parents. Let's just say Siegfried the Dragon Slayer. So yeah, there's a lot of you find a lot of that, unfortunately, in the Germanic bits.
So much incest. It's sad. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Again, there is an argument. I mean, a reason. I don't know how much you know about Ireland in the Stone Ages, but again, there has been DNA tests of some of their tombs, and there's a lot of royal. They present. They are called the sort of the God Kings, essentially the Irish takes of the pharaohs. So there seems to have been perhaps an idea that certain lineages were more whole. Again, most people, it's very clear that most people in that area were not doing incest. This is clearly very taboo in the time, but in the certain royal areas, it was presented as sort of to preserve a lineage of and the magic. I can't say that I'm an expert on the area, but it seems it wouldn't be surprised that some of that is presented why there is so much incest in these stories and of myths and of the heroes. That could be a legacy, that it's taboo for most people, but these special people, it's yeah. Oh no, Donald, no.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, yeah, a Broken Sword is it's a grim story.
Yeah. But also fascinating by how I'm not going to spoil it, but you know the scene where there's a certain funeral that
Oh
happens.
yeah.
But it's just also it's almost very tender, almost. So you know,
Mhm.
it's so again, he's not trying to be edgy just to be edgy. It's a more deeper reason for why he's presenting it.
Yeah, it
And of
feels like
course,
a genuine saga. Not that
yeah,
I've read many of the sagas.
yeah.
Read the prose Ada at some point. Though I heard they kind of Christianized it, which can make it frustrating for people who like the Norse stories. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not actually that angry about it because again, at least they preserved them in some form, and I think there's a lot of myths that have not been preserved. So again, to at least have one version of him is for me. I'm more grateful for that and then of course you can do stuff to try to form another texts, of course, but to at least have one version preserved is better than having none.
That's true.
Yeah, because again, yeah, what were the myths of the people of Stone Age? We don't know. We don't know the mythology of the people of Stone Age. We can make educated guesses, but we don't know. So, I recently read both the Ken Follett book Circle of Days, and then you have Bernard Cornwell's version of which is just called Stone Age, and again they also present takes on the mythology, but it wouldn't. To say that those are very accurate would be 100% questionable because it again it would be guesswork at best.
Yeah, Norse is weird, man. I was watching some. Funnily enough, you mentioned overly sarcastic productions. Or I was watching some of their Norse stuff the other day, and it's weird, man. Like
Yeah.
Loki, like bangs a giant, and then they have Fenrir, the world snake, and then Hell. You're like,
yeah. No, it's
then like he becomes a female horse, gets banged by another horse, and then then he has
that's the order of Snapemer. Yeah. It's
which is,
again,
by the way, Odin's horse. So it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah. He's riding the son of Loki.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jill's saga. There's a lot of
Egil Saga. Yeah.
Is that any good, or is that
again? I think I have to look up 1 second.
Oh, part of it was translated by William Morris.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, he was a big inspiration for Egil Skallagrimsson. Yeah, of course. Again, let's just say he became let's just say that he got this came into conflict with the kings of Norway. So that says something. He was sort of a renegade.
Yeah, I heard the prose edit guy got assassinated. I was like, damn.
Oh yeah. Snorre Sturlason. He became he became involved with the kings of Norway. Yeah, and killed.
Hold on. People are contacting me. Too many. Yeah, no, Yeah, I'm quite fascinated.
I have to just have to remember Eric Bloodaxe. He become when you get into beef with a guy named Bloodaxe, that should say something.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like I really like Norse myth though.
Hmm.
It's just so weird and alien, you know. It's not like Greek got like the Greek mythology, like it's a bit more like cognizant, but like also the gods just act like a really dysfunctional family more than anything else.
Yeah,
They
that's
don't feel very divine. That's what I'm getting
hmm, yeah. The Greeks or the Norse?
at. Greeks. The
The
Norse
Greeks,
are
yeah.
the Greeks are a bit, or the Norse is a bit more like I'm gonna hang myself and chop out my own eye for knowledge just cause. And you're like, what is that? Like, I want to see more of that, you know. Oh yeah, my wisest advisor. I'm just gonna chop off his head and bring the head back to life. So I can. It's
Yeah.
great. I love it. Yeah, and
Yeah, there's again when it comes to Norse mythology, it's there's always yeah, batshit crazy stories, of course. So it's a very it makes how to put it? It's I can if there's a particular saga, I would yeah, again, Snorre Sturlason's sagas are perhaps the most commonly known here. So his King saga. So there's some good stories, of course. I mean, one that I am fascinated by is uh, uh, there are these stories about how King Magnus, when he wanted a piece of Scotland, and he had sort of a deal with the Scottish king that could get everything that he could sail around, and then and there was a piece of land on the inland that he wanted, so he made his folks pull the ship across the land, so he got that part too.
yeah, no, it's I don't know what I was gonna say, but it was another novel that caught my attention because I'm really fascinated with this time. There's The Dragon Waiting by John M. Ford. That one looks interesting.
Hmm.
It's about Richard
I'll look
III
that
and
one
like
up.
vampires and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
You said the dragon is waiting.
The Dragon Waiting is what it's called. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
Well, Bex, if you are sick, you can feel free and leave. Though I do appreciate you stuck around. Yeah, apparently in oh yeah, I forgot Thornall loved
Yeah.
vampires. Yeah. Here, I'll find it on Goodreads real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, again, I'm interesting. Speaking of samurais earlier, and I'm fascinated to start reading Tim Powers next year.
Oh yeah. I've always been more hesitant to try him because he just kind of seems a bit too pulpy, but I could be wrong.
Hmm.
All right, so here's the synopsis on Goodreads. It is the Wars of the well, hold on. In a snowbound inn high in the Alps, 4 people meet who will alter fate. A noble Byzantine mercenary, a female Florentine physician, an ageless Welsh wizard, and an uncanny academic. Together, they will wage an intrigue-filled campaign against the might of Byzantium to secure the English throne for Richard, Duke of Gloucester. Gloucester, I can't pronounce it, and make him Richard III. Available for the first time in nearly 2 decades, with a new introduction by New York Times bestselling author Scott Lynch. The Dragon Waiting is a masterpiece of blood and magic.
That's
It does say on the other one that there are vampires, so Thorno might get something out of it. You got me at Byzantine. Byzantine. All right, fair
Byzantium. Yeah, it's again, I don't know. As a Norwegian, I shouldn't be the one correcting people on their English pronunciation. So, so again, I did mention the Harry Hole, Harry Hole mentioned
Oh
earlier.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, I know this for a fact that is meant as an in joke from Jo Nesbø. At Harry Hole, that it's meant to when pronounced in English, it sounds like something very different.
You know what? Just
Yeah.
I think Raph did a video about it a few years ago, but
Mhm.
you know, I could be wrong on that. I know Liam definitely did.
And even from a Norwegian perspective, there are so many different dialects that even so Norway is kind of infamous for that. So many different dialects, so it's can totally different sounds. So, for example, again, I say Harry Hole, but if I got to sound like how it's pronounced in Eastern Oslo, where working class style, it would be Harry Hole, a bit more. So
Oh
it's
man.
yeah. So it's a very different kind of
I
accent.
mean, I guess it's from 1983. It was just recently, like Tor just put out a
yeah.
recent copy of
Again,
it.
it's from the 80s, so it's fascinating that it's a more historical fantasy version, of our alternative history, in other words, yeah. So it would be something akin to Tim Powers, I would guess.
Yeah, Between Two Fires is getting re-released. I don't know if anyone's read that. That was a pretty good book. I don't know why it's getting
Yeah.
re-released though.
Yeah, I'm planning to read Buhlman, his Black Tongue books this autumn or fall.
Good luck with Black Tongue Thief. I thought it was not that good. So
Mm.
I've heard Daughter's War is fantastic. I haven't read it though. So
But so Between Two Fires, I would say that's more on my. I might get to it this year, but most likely it will be next year. Most likely.
I like how far you plan ahead. Like the other day, we were going off about like some book you were hoping to read in 2028. I was like, geez,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, Isaac was he's constantly making fun of that. But again, it's more like, okay, say you have a book series that's 20
Well, yeah.
like for example the Master and Commander series,
Uh-huh.
Aubrey and Morton series. It is 20 or 21 books in that series. So if you read 2 books in that series, that's a 10-year commitment. If you read 2 of those books annually, that's a 10-year commitment. So yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, I might read the first maybe 2 next year because again,
Yeah.
I'm hoping to read a lot of historical fiction next year. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
I'm already doing it. We're in the middle of this year. I should probably focus on
again.
what I
I
got
would
left
say
to read this year.
again they are quite big books, but I would say the dynamic between Aubrey and Morton, it's really you've seen Master and Commander movie, and it's very much that kind of, again, this is their introduction, so it's not, the first book is not, their relationship is not that quite defined as it is in the movie, but it's by the end of it is essentially sort of like it is in the movie, and so you really, if you love the movie, you will really get to the books. The one thing I would say is there's a lot, again, Patrick O'Brien, he knew his stuff when it comes to ships and sailing in the
Yeah, I remember
Napoleonic
Steve
age.
Donahue recommended
So
them. He says
again,
it's
there's
in
a
the
lot of
idiom.
nautical terms, and again, I'm not a sailor, so no, I'm from the coast,
It's
so
also
I
one that
know,
like
I know some basic stuff,
sorry.
but
It's like it's one that like everyone worth their salt really likes. Like Steve Donahue really likes it. Ursula K. Le Guin liked it. Christopher Hitchens liked it. I mean, there's a lot of people that liked it that are like pretty well established.
Yeah, again, I just read the first book, but were Master and Commander, and I really loved it last year. So I believe it was a reread, but again, it was ages since I read it. So I really
I'm hoping to get it in that new edition with the really nice cover art. I'm hoping to get that. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Come on. And Commander. Book. Yeah, this one. I'm hoping to get the copy with this cover. It's very nice. May have to see the movie too, because I hear it's a classic. A lot of my like British,
the
a
movie.
lot of my
The movie is
British friends love it. They're just like,
the movie is amazing. Master and Commander. Okay, I highly recommend it. It's possibly my favorite movie of all time. Literally.
Yeah, a lot of my friends who love like historical fiction are like, that's the greatest film of all time. I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
okay.
I get it. It's though even that is sort of a bit sanitized from the story by Patrick O'Brien, because I believe most of it, again, they are taking stuff from different books in the series, and the book that they take the most of, the other side, the far side of the world, then they are actually up against the Americans and not the French. So they sort of sanitized it to have it against the French in the movie, so Americans wouldn't feel should I be rooting here or should I not?
Yeah, I saw some of the books kind of cover America, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I want to root against my own country, man. I feel bad.
No, but I think it's again, you don't have to agree, but to it can be interesting to how others view that period. Again, the War of the 1812 isn't exactly. Again, I don't think it's exactly presented as the most glorious area of American history.
No, I mean they
with
burned down the White
being
House.
burned and everything. I mean,
bastard.
the only thing that I think is often mentioned is how Andrew Jackson defended New Orleans, but otherwise it's not seen as the most brightest spot in American history. So,
selling plot. Jesus was an immortal caveman. I've never even heard of this. Man from Earth. I mean, my favorite movie is A Clockwork Orange. So, I mean, that that should tell you anything you need to know.
Yeah.
I like
that's
brave stuff.
Yeah, no, but it's
also just a nice middle finger to authority, which I appreciate. So there you go.
Yeah, it's again, I'm Scandinavian, so we tend to have a bit more how to put it, but there's such a large the levels of trusts are really high in Scandinavia, so it's but again, it's always a bit fascinating how Brits and Americans and even the French and the Germans, how they have completely different views on that. So it's a very fascinating. But then again, you could say in Norway or Scandinavia we have. Again, I'm not going to say that there's no scandals or anything, but there is much more. I would say there is a higher level of trust with a politician, and you can argue having stuff like, say, the oil fund and so forth. You kind of that people who think a bit more have foresights do not spend everything at once, and so you get more in return. That's a positive aspect, at least in our perspective, at least. But again, I've seen other countries trying that and it being very quickly used for corruption. So again, you have to sort of build a. You can't take it, without the political culture of it to work.
Huh. Yeah, another book I'm hoping to read next year is The Long Ships.
Yeah, by Frans Bengtsson. Yeah.
Is that a Norse book? Is that guy from Norway?
No, he's from Sweden.
Damn it!
So
it's always those fucking Swedes. I always get you guys and Swedes mixed up.
We are not mixing them up. Make sure that.
I'll try not to do that if I ever go to Norway.
No. It's all fun and games. All fun and games. I would say again the most fascinating thing about the Longships is again it's written. I believe it came out, I believe, around 1942, 1943. So again, it's written during World War II. Sweden was neutral during that time, but again, you have to remind that during that time, virtually they were surrounded by either Germany or German occupied territories, and to have a book where Vikings are befriending Spanish Muslims and Jews, that would be definitely a middle finger to those thoughts about racial purity and all that stuff. Let's just, it's a bit more bold to say that when the Germans are surrounding you than to say it today. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Nazis didn't treat Norway very well. So
again, I would say compared to let's just say we were treated very kindly compared to say Poland and other countries. I have to be. I have to be. But yeah, it's of course it's a dark part of our history. You know, again, I literally have. Granduncles who died or served in the merchant fleet of that time. So it's and I even also have granduncles who were adopted German bastards. So again, we do have sort of more. It's
German
children of German soldiers and Norwegian women.
Oh.
Yeah, that's so that was a big taboo area, and on my mother's side, our great grandmother adopted one into the family. So again, but I know it wasn't easy growing up being a German bastard. So it's not yeah. So. But again, it's but and again, as I said, I have granduncles who literally died in the convoys over the Atlantic. So we have again, it's I don't think it's easy to. Again, we have 8 years of peace, so I'm not going to present us as we are really. That at 8 years of peace and democracy, so I can't say that we are doing that bad. I mean, take just Germany. I mean, just 40 years ago, it was divided into two, and the eastern part was straightforward authoritarian. So again, on money's perspectives, we have done very well, but still, there's history that's definitely, I think, from American perspective, which of course you had the attack on Pearl Harbor, and but it's still, I think, for most Americans, it's still the war happened another place, to put it like that. But well, for Europeans, this is it happened here. It was history that so it becomes a bit much more tangible than something that. Even though it's of course 8 years, it's sort of fading into history as the last surviving witnesses are dying out, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a time.
Had you speaking of World War II? Have you read City of Thieves?
Yeah, that's a great book.
About the siege of Leningrad. Yeah, no, it's a very hilarious in a very very dark way. Not very dark way, but it's
it's great. It's fantastic.
So it's a fascinating read.
Yeah, it's really sad too. So it's a great
yeah, of course. It's
a great
it's a tale set from Soviet Russia. What do you expect?
That's true, but just the way he managed to find the humor
compared to say
in one of the darkest parts of World War II, like that's a miracle, really, because like the Eastern Front is I was talking about this yesterday.
I'm
sorry.
No, but I understand. I think it's Timothy Snyder who calls Eastern Europe, the Bloodlands. You have to imagine, let's start from World War One, then you have the Russian Revolution and the Russian Civil War. You then have various border wars, and then World War Two. So you got at least 50 years of just killing and murder, and turning Eastern Europe into again, it's the reason why he called those areas the Bloodlands. Let's just say that. So compared to that, of course, I would say Norway got really easy off compared to that. So again, I don't want.
Yeah, I find the Eastern Front and the Pacific Front are like the nastiest parts of the war.
Yeah. Have you seen the Pacific?
The show?
Yeah, the show. Yeah. Again, because I think it's a good contrast to Band of Brothers. Because again, and not to say that Band of Brothers is necessarily, it tells some of the darker sides of World War II, of course, also. But
I mean, all war is messed up, but those two fronts specifically are.
Yeah. It's so I but I think the Pacific, I think it's an interesting to watch it compared to those, because again, I think today it's again just with the use of nuclear weapons, and again the racial warfare both from the Japanese and the American, it's much more unsettling perhaps than defeating the Nazis. It's everyone can do that and be ever, but with the Japanese, and again, not to say that the Japanese didn't do horrible things. I mean, just read up on Unit 731. It's what they did to the Chinese and so forth. It's some of the most messed up stuff. So, yeah.
World War II was not fun. Which I hate. I'm understating it, but
I might have to go.
I was about to wrap up anyway. It's all good.
Before I go, I would perhaps do a small promo, sort of, because I have a friend, Alexander Salwan, and he's out with his new book. He has a self-published sci-fi, fantasy writer, so he's very inspired by Malazan and Tolkien and those. So he's just his fifth book in the series, so it's out now. A Tide of so it's on Darker Tides. This new book is out, so I can recommend checking out that series, because it's I think he's for a self-published, I think he has a good writing style.
All right. Well, I was gonna probably take off anyway because I was getting a little not tired, but I was feeling like we were reaching our natural end point.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm looking forward to talking next week, of course. And
all right, I'll text you when I'm done.
Yeah. No worries.
Make sure. Anyway, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Could you repeat the title again? Zivlin wants to know.
Oh yeah, On Darker Tides, and this a Tide of Sacred Ice, I believe, is the title of the series. Again, this is book 5, so preferably you should perhaps check out book 1 before. But I wanted to Alexander Salwa. I can type it in the chat. So.
All right. Anyway, I'm probably gonna take off myself, but thank you, Mac, for joining in and hanging out for a little while.
No, my pleasure.
Yeah, I hope everyone had a good time. I definitely did today. I mean, not really too much to say aside from that. Next week I'll probably be here. I don't know, but we'll see. You know, I try to be more relaxed with these things. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I will see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Oh, I almost left stream. All right, let's